Welcome to Lesson 27, Multiples and the Least Common Multiple. Our objective today is that I can find the least common multiple. The multiples of a number, are produced by multiplying the number by 1, by 2, by 3, and etc. For example, the multiples of 4 are 4, 4 times 2 is 8, 4 times 3 is 12, 4 times 4 is 16, 4 times 5 is 20, and so on. So we can compare our common multiples together. For instance, here are the multiples of 4 and 6. Let's see which ones they have in common. Well, it looks like they both have a 12 in common. And also looks like they both have 24 in common. And I'm sure we would find more if we kept going. But common multiples are going to help us out when we're working with fractions. So let's find the least common multiple of 3, 4, and 6, all of them. So what I do is I usually make a prime factor tree. With 3, my prime factor tree is pretty boring. It's just 3. With 4, I can get it down to 2 times 2. I don't know why I wrote a 3. 2 times 2. And with 6, I can get it down to 2 times 3. So now I have all my prime numbers ready to go. So if I make a table with a 3 row, a 4 row, and a 6 row, and I put in all of their prime factors. 4 is 2 times 2, 6 is 2 times 3, and 3 is just 3. I throw them all together. My least common multiple is going to be where I drop down all of my columns and then multiply everything together. 2 times 2 times 3. 2 times 2 times 3 happens to be 12, which means my least common multiple of everything, all three of those numbers, 3, 4, and 6, is 12. Go ahead and try this one out on your own. Pause the video, and I'll see you in a second. Now that you've tried it on your own, let's do it together. So our prime factors of 18 are 6 times 3. 6 is 2 times 3. So here's all of our prime factors, our prime numbers that multiply to give us 18. How about 24? 24 is 6 times 4. 4 is 2 times 2. 6 is 2 times 3. These are all prime numbers, so we're good to go. Now let's build our table. We have 18. An 18 row. We have a 24 row. Let's start with 24. 24 is 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. 18 is 2 times 3 times 3. Oh my goodness, this is going to be a large number. Drop each and every column for this time. Drop the 2, drop the 2, drop the 2, drop the 3, drop the 3. 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 times 3 happens to be 8 times 9, and that is 72. So 72 is our least common multiple. Go ahead and try this one out on your own. Pause the video, and I'll see you in a second. Okay, let's take a look at 24 and 40. My prime factorization of 24 happens to be 6 times 4, which is going to do, you can do 3 and 8 as well, and you'll get the same answer. But I like doing 6 and 4. So I have all my prime factors that multiply to give me 24. How about 40? 40 is 4 and 10. You can also do 5 times 8 if you want. 2 times 2 times 2 times 5. Okay, so let's make a 24 row and a 40 row. My 24 row, I'm going to have 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. My 40 row, I'm going to have 2 times 2 times 2 times 5. If I drop every column down, I'm going to have 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 times 5. Don't know why my lines are so slow today. So if I do that on my calculator, because I have my calculator right here, 3 times 5, I'll get 120 as my least common multiple. Okay, let's try this one together. Instead of dividing 220 by 5, let's double both numbers and mentally calculate the quotient. So what I'm saying is, if I do 220 times 5, or divided by 5, and I double both of them, so I multiply by 2 over 2, that's going to give me 440 over 10, which I can do in my head, right? If I divide by 10, that means I take off a 0, which means that I'm going to be left with 44. Dang, that's a lot easier than doing 220 divided by 5. If I just double it, I know that'll get double the 5. That means that'll give me a 10. And what I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top as well. So that really made it easier. Go ahead and try this one out on your own. I'll see you in a second. Okay. Now that you've tried it out on your own, let's do it together. So instead of dividing 6,000 divided by 200, let's divide both numbers by 100. So if I take off 100, that means I'm taking off 2 zeros. That's going to give me 60 over 2. 60 over 2 I can do in my head. That's 30. Much easier. That's the end of this video, and I'll see you in the next one.